Hey guys, just wanted to recap your greenhouse in a jar lab a little bit. So let's just recap. First of all, you had two models. Model A was uncovered with nothing in it but a thermometer. Model B was covered with saran wrap, and you also put an Alka-Seltzer tablet in the inner beaker, which created carbon dioxide or CO2, and that was supposed to simulate greenhouse gases, which, as we talked, do a better job of absorbing infrared radiation and re-emitting it back in the system. So this would represent the Earth, and this would represent, let's say, a planet like Mercury or our moon that do not have atmospheres where heat can come and go, but it doesn't get trapped in by the atmosphere. So a couple things that may have affected your data. I'm not sure if this experiment worked for you or not. Hopefully it did. If it didn't, let's just consider a few variables. First of all, the way that you had your light hit both of your models should have been of equal intensity. It's very important to keep that consistent. That could have played a role. Another variable that you should have considered is the saran wrap going around the outside. Ideally, you have it pulled as tightly as possible and you cut off all the extra saran wrap because that could have provided some unnecessary reflection of the light rather than light going in and getting into the system. That was an uncontrolled variable. And lastly, one of the observations that I noticed with some of my groups was that for some of the Model Bs, your temperature went up and then it actually decreased, which was a very weird thing to happen. And here's why that happened. You may have used cold water on the inside for your Alka-Seltzer tablet, which that water then took away some of the heat, so the heat went into the water and cooled the air rather than heated up the whole system, which is what we were hoping for. So let me go through some of my data and show you what are some expected results. So let's take a look at the data table. These are some possible expected results. We'll notice that Model A on the left started to climb a little bit slower and it plateaued a lot quicker. It met its maximum temperature and sort of stayed there, while Model B climbed a little bit quicker and reached a lot higher of a temperature before it plateaued or leveled off. This is also due to the fact that there's saran wrap over the top trapping in the heat. Looking at the bottom here, once the light was turned off, Model A decreased very quickly back to its original temperature because there was nothing to hold in the heat, while Model B held on to that temperature for quite a while until it started to go down a little bit. Hopefully this is what your experiment showed, but really there shouldn't be any surprises. The one that has the Model B, which has a thicker greenhouse, trapped in a lot more of the heat and held on to that temperature for longer even when the light went out. This represents what the Earth does at night. Even at nighttime when we rotate into darkness, we still maintain that heat. And this is one of the biggest reasons that the greenhouse effect is such a good thing. It's essential for us to survive because it helps keep the Earth a more consistent and even temperature.